It's the first divisional game matchup of the season, and we've already got bad blood, with Commanders cornerback Emmanuel Forbes calling out Devonta Smith. Plus, Jack Del Rio can't stand Philly's favorite play. Why should we expect Jalen Hurts to play better? And Haason Reddick guarantees his breakout's coming. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? In case anyone's new to the channel, I'm Josh and I cover the birds. Okay, so if you're not feeling like Fletcher Cox's expression with Eagles football less than a day away, I'm just gonna say something's wrong with you. It's also kind of nice to get a 1 p.m. kickoff time for once, where the Eagles announced former linebacker Bill Bergey will be the honorary captain for the home game versus the Commanders, to, show some love to one of the greats while honoring Bergey during the NFL's crucial catch with the former number 66 battling jaw cancer. So definitely prayers for that. But thankfully, the 78-year-old says all the numbers are good and trending in the right direction. And by the way, just in case you're not familiar with William Earl Bergey, he was initially drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in 1969 before playing 5 seasons and then being traded to the Eagles in 1974, where he played 7 seasons, earning 5 All-Pro honors, helping lead the Eagles to Super Bowl 15, and at one point became the highest paid defensive player in the league, signing a 4-year contract for $1 million.
That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
I mean, it's crazy how much contracts have changed, but speaking of another defensive force, we've got some great news that Haason Reddick is officially 100%, now getting his thumb cast removed and has major expectations going forward.
Being chipped at an alarming rate, which is expected, right? Not just me, man, our edges in general. We had 3 guys in the DN room alone who had double-digit sacks, you feel me? So our edges are being, we're being chipped at a high rate. Trying to stay pocket, which, is opening up a lot of opportunities for the DTs. So things will start changing soon. As I was saying earlier, they can't block everybody. They can't double team everybody. At the same time, guys are going to start getting more one-on-one opportunities and chances. Everybody will be able to make plays and eat off that.
All right, honestly, as strong as the defense has played, if there's one thing that can get them to the next level, it's Haason Reddick playing up to the level he's capable of. And I think he will, because let's remember, from weeks 4 to 18 last year, Reddick totaled 14.5 sacks and 24 quarterback hits. However, despite some saying Haason's been really bad or definitely much worse than last season, Fran Duffy pointed out that Reddick actually has the exact same number of pressures through 3 weeks this year that he had last year at this point, with an improved pass rush win rate of 14.1% compared to last year's 9.9%. But okay, I get it if you don't want to buy completely into the advanced analytics, because that thumb injury no doubt affected Haason more than he let on, saying, "I couldn't really grab with my hand as much as I would have liked to, but I'm finally out of it, won't have to wear it this week or moving forward, which I'm extremely happy about. Free to use my hands at will, and it's going to be really, really good for me. So only a matter of time before we start seeing the real Reddick again." And Nick Sirianni fully believes that as well.
On the defensive line room, that goes in kind of flows, right? Like, a team will could see it as like, well, Haason hasn't had a sack in 3 weeks. Cool, put all your resources to stop Sweat or Jalen or Jordan or Fletch, or should I go on, Brandon or Derek or Nolan, right? And so, that goes in ebbs and flows, like, as you go, like, because you're going to have to pick your poison there. But yeah, definitely. I mean, your job as a coach is always to look at the other team and say, how do I not let these guys beat us? And so you're going to see, teams do that against our defensive line. But fortunately, we have a bunch of guys that can get after it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's the case for the Commanders. It's really just a pick your poison approach. So will it be Jalen Carter again, or possibly his favorite teammate?
What snaps did you play in college?
Sir, who's your favorite teammate? Right here, my favorite teammate. Well, everybody my favorite teammate, but this guy giving me all the feedback right here. I made it.
I just love seeing how much fun these guys have, and also how much it looks like Fletch has turned back the clock, which is why I wouldn't necessarily disagree if you wanted to go with Fletch for the game wrecker, as the 32-year-old's recorded 8 pressures, 5 quarterback hits, which is tied for the most in the league among interior defenders, along with 5 hurries, 1 fumble recovered, and half a sack in the first 3 games. Okay, sure, it helps when you're not getting double-teamed nearly every play, but curious who you guys think will get the first sack against against the Commanders. You know what? Let's just make it a contest. Go ahead and let me know in the comments who's going to have the first sack as well as the total amount of sacks the Eagles will have in the game. And if you get it right, I'll ship you any item of your choice from the Underdog site. Of course, a reminder that we'll do a drawing if there are multiple winners. I'm going to say we end up with 4 sacks and say Josh Sweat is the first guy to get the sack. But no matter who it is, it's going to be a challenge, with Ron Rivera and Washington listing slowing down the Eagles' defensive front as one of the main keys to beating Philly. Oh yeah, and Commanders DC Jack Del Rio also said stopping the brotherly shove.
Well, it's not being officiated as illegal, so we just have to prepare for it. I mean, I would personally like to see it eliminated, not just because they run it better than anybody, although they do run it better than anybody, but I don't think that's a football play. I think it's a nice rugby play. And it's not what we're looking for in football. But until it's outlawed, we'll prepare for it and get ready to do our best to stop it.
Well, there you go. Add another tally to the not in favor of the quarterback sneak play. Although, honestly, a lot of this game could come down to the running game since, as most of us recall, the last time the Commanders were in Philly, they held the Birds to just 94 yards on the ground. And even Del Rio alluded to that in his presser, since the Eagles are under 500 when held to less than 100 rushing yards when Jalen Hurts is the starter, leaving Commanders senior writer Zach Selby to say the Commanders' best hopes to pull out a win against the Eagles is to make Hurts beat them with his arm.
What did you say?
Yeah, you heard me right, but hopefully our QB1 is ready to have his breakout moment, because there's at least a little area of concern, like Brandon Lee Gouton shared. It's important that Jalen Hurts is making some quicker decisions. That's one of the things that's bothered me with his season so far. You look at the average time to throw among NFL quarterbacks, and Jalen Hurts ranks 4th slowest. In fact, Hurts is tied with Deshaun Watson at 3.14 seconds on average to throw, where the only quarterbacks that are slower than him are Justin Fields, Carolina's Bryce Young, and New York Jets' Zach Wilson. I don't have to tell you, but that's not exactly a stellar list that Jalen's up there with, and not really sure we can expect things to get any easier going up against the Commanders' defensive line. However, as we know, Jalen's been trying to find more comfort with Brian Johnson and the offense, so perhaps he can exploit Washington's secondary, because despite Hogshaven sharing the biggest strengths for the Commanders being the D-line and the secondary, there is a weakness. Saying the D-line can dominate a game even though they had an off day against the Bucs with 0 sacks, the secondary is a strength as well. Cam Curl is a premier safety, and Kendall Fuller is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. However, rookie cornerback Emmanuel Forbes is feast or famine. He has talent, but so far he's been fooled badly by just about every double move he's seen. That can be a big problem against the Eagles wide receivers. It definitely can, especially considering that Devonta Smith already torched Emmanuel Forbes back in college in his 2020 Heisman campaign for 11 receptions, 203 yards, and 4 touchdowns as Alabama routed Mississippi State 41-0, with Smitty outgaining the entire Bulldogs team 203 yards to 200, which is no doubt impressive, while also beating the corner on double moves frequently back then. Although Forbes said he specifically remembers Smith running a slant on him for a touchdown and pointing at him, which is why he didn't hesitate after getting drafted and being asked who he's most looking forward to matching up with.
Is it any receiver you just like, you know what? I can't wait to play this dude. Maybe it's an old vendetta. Maybe it's just somebody you looked up to or somebody you watched. Anybody?
Devonta Smith.
It's a little rivalry there, right?
I had him my freshman year. He went for 250 on that.
Well, now he gets his rematch, and he's definitely not lacking confidence. Saying on Wednesday, I always keep receipts of guys that maybe got the best of me in college or whenever, so it's going to be a good challenge this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
Sometimes I still dream of glory, Dick.
Well, sometimes dreams can turn into nightmares, Lou.
What's your problem?
Sorry, but more power to the 22-year-old for at least wanting the challenge, I guess. At least the good news is that Devonta Smith was back at practice after missing a couple days due to an illness, although thankfully looks like he should be good to go, so we'll get a look at this matchup. But curious what kind of numbers you expect to see from the Slim Reaper. Speaking of numbers, it's time for the weekly picks where we went a respectable 2-1, bringing up the overall record to 5-3-1. Yes, I know my one loss last week couldn't have been more wrong. But here we go. For this week, let's ride with the winless Denver Broncos on the road getting 6.5. Hey, you can't win them all, but this week I'm doubling down. Let's ride again with Denver minus 3.5 in Chicago. I'll also take the Jags at their home away from home, laying 3 points against the Falcons, and give me the over 44 total in the Dallas-New England game. There you go. And as always, feel free to get in on the action thanks to my friends at DraftKings, where a $5 bet gets you $200 in bonus bets when you sign up through the link in the description. Or if you don't like any of those bets, maybe rolling with Philly's not the worst idea, since like Brandon been shared, the Eagles are 10-3-2 against the spread as home favorites since the beginning of the Nick Sirianni Jalen Hurts era in 2021, which is, by the way, the best cover percentage in the NFL because the only 2 losses came with Gardner Minshew starting, which is why they say good teams win, great teams cover. Regardless, please remember to gamble responsibly. In other news, the Eagles released their final official injury report, and unfortunately, we got some terrible news with rookie Sidney Brown out against the Commanders, along with Quez Watkins since both players are dealing with hamstring injuries. However, at least Brown was seen warming up before practice Friday, and all initial reports are that it isn't too serious, so hopefully he'll be back next week. As for the other names on the list, the report is that everyone should be good to go, and luckily, at least safety Justin Fields will be okay since he got in a full practice. Okay, ultimately, I think we'll be fine, although I'm curious to get a better look at our recent punter in Braden Mann, especially since it was recently reported that the Eagles worked out punter Luke Locker ahead of the Commanders game, which at first I was thinking, man, that was really quick. Like, come on, Braden Mann literally only got 1 punt in the last game, albeit it wasn't great. However, I think Outside the Birds is probably onto something, saying the Eagles are probably working out Luke Locker to give their punt returners a look at a left-footed punter, since that's what foot Commanders punter Tress Way kicks with. Alright, that makes a little bit more sense, but still worth keeping an eye on since after Sunday's game, Mann will only be able to be called up one more time from the practice squad. Another friendly reminder that we'll be live streaming the game and giving away any jersey of your choice, so feel free to stop by whenever, and we'll be drawing for the jersey in the third quarter. Also, go ahead and let me know your score predictions for the game. I'm going to say Eagles 27-20. This has been the Philly Special.